Okay, now guys, we're going to move on to our next question. And this question is going to look quite familiar to you. It's very, very similar to questions that we were doing last week. And clearly I have an objective in mind, and the objective is to prepare for the next question that we're going to do. So just for revision purposes, let's have a look at this. Okay, first of all, remember over the last few weeks, we've been drawing arcs between the two things that we're multiplying together. So first of all, when I multiply out the brackets, I'm going to put an arc between 3 and 2x. So 3 multiplied by 2x is going to give me 6x. 3 multiplied by minus 1, that's plus multiplied by minus, which is clearly minus. And 3 multiplied by minus 1 is minus 3. Now on the next part, we have minus 5 multiplied by x. Again, minus by plus is minus. So that's minus 5 times x. Then we have minus 5 multiplied by plus 1, which is minus 5. And then we have plus 6 equals 0. So that's very, very straightforward. Now, the reason for the arcs is that immediately if I forget to multiply something out, I'm going to spot it. I'm going to see it straight away. Now, our next objective is to put the x's with the x's and numbers with the numbers. Well, we have a 6x here and a minus 5x there. And 6x minus 5x is 1x, which is very convenient. Then in terms of our numbers, we have minus 3 minus 5, which is minus 8. And then minus 8 plus 6, which is minus 2. So that was very, very straightforward. Minus 3 minus 5 is minus 8. And then add the 6, minus 8 plus 6 is minus 2. Now, remember, we've been driving this point home for the last few weeks. If you move something across an equal sign, you replace it with its opposite. And the opposite to subtracting 2 is to add 2. So when that minus 2 goes for a walk across the equal sign, it becomes the opposite of minus, which is plus. So our final answer here is x equals 2. Okay, and that's a very, very straightforward question. And as I said, it is purely just revision of what we did over the last couple of weeks. Okay, so are we all good to move on? That's brilliant, thank you. Okay, now question 5. At the beginning of the class today, we started talking about fractions and least common multiples and about how to add fractions together. Now we're going to step it up a gear and we're going to solve an equation that involves fractions. So when I see an equation that involves fractions like this one here, first thing I do is I look at the denominators. Okay, we have a 3 and we have a 4. Now, what do we do with the denominators? What's the first thought that comes into our minds when we see fractions? Exactly, Joseph. What we do is we find our LCM. Okay, so the least common multiple here is going to be the smallest number that both 3 and 4 divide evenly into. Now, the smallest number that both 3 and 4 divide evenly into is 12. Okay? 3 goes into 12 4 times and 4 goes into 12 3 times. Now, the next part is unbelievably straightforward. We are almost going to get marks for just writing out the question again. In fact, I'm going to begin by writing out the question again. So we have 2x minus 1 divided by 3. Plus, and then let's leave a little gap, x plus 3 divided by 4 equals, and let's leave a little gap, 5. Just leave a gap before each part. Now, we've learned that the LCM is 12, and all I've done here is I've rewritten the question again. Now what we do is we put a 12 in front of each of the fractions. Now, if everything is being multiplied by 12, it means that we haven't changed anything really. Okay, if you multiply every part of an equation by the same number, that means you've effectively got the same equation. So you rewrite the question and you put the least common multiple, in this case 12, in front of every part of the equation. Now, the point of using least common multiples is very, very basic. We use LCMs so that we can remove fractions. We had an equation with fractions, we want to get rid of fractions. So our next objective is to get rid of fractions. So one at a time, we have 12 and 3. We have a 12 on top and a 3 on the bottom. Now 12 divided by 3 is 4. So what we're doing here is we're simplifying down. Okay, so now we have 4 multiplied by 2x minus 1. Now, in the next part, we have a 12 on top, we have a 4 on the bottom. And what's 12 divided by 4? Exactly, Mary. So we put 3 on top. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So that's 3 multiplied by x plus 3 equals 12 multiplied by 5, which is 60. Now, 2 minutes ago, we had a question that involved fractions. Now you can see we've simplified it down, so it's identical to the question that we did a few minutes ago, okay, where we had no fractions and we were multiplying out brackets and we were solving for x. So we are literally now back on ground that we know, okay? So just like in the last question, we multiply 4 by 2x, again, get the arcs out so we don't miss anything. 4 multiplied by 2x is 8x. 4 multiplied by minus 1 is minus 4. Plus 3 multiplied by x is 3x. Okay, plus by plus is plus. And then 3 multiplied by 3 is plus 9. And that's equal to 60. Okay? Now, the next thing we do is we put the 8x and the 3x together, and that gives us 11x. We put the minus 4 and the plus 9 together. That gives us plus 5, and that's equal to 60. So effectively there, all we've done is we put the x's with the x's and the numbers with the numbers, okay? Now, the next objective is get the numbers to this one side of the equal sign and keep the x's on the other. So we need to bring that 5 across. Now remember, if you move something across an equal sign, you replace it with its opposite. That just keeps coming up all the time. And when that plus 5 goes across the equal sign, it becomes minus 5. So we have 11x equals 60 minus 5, which means that 11x is equal to 55. 60 minus 5 is clearly 55. Okay, so now we're nearly there. We have 11x and we have to find out what x is. Now remember what you do. When you're moving something across an equal sign, you replace it with its opposite. Okay, and that's important to note here. So I ask you, what is the 11 doing to the x? Exactly, it's multiplying, okay? The 11 is being multiplied by x, and the opposite to multiplication is division. So when that 11 goes across the equal sign, it becomes 55 divided by 11. On the left-hand side, 11 was being multiplied by x. On the right-hand side, it becomes 55 is divided by 11. And 55 divided by 11 is equal to 5. Okay, so our answer to this question is x equals 5. Our solution is x equals 5. Now, is that okay with everybody? That's fantastic. Okay, let's move on to the next question.